I want to tell you about a moment that I've seen hundreds of times in 15 years. A student sits down, long division, level D in our program. Multiple steps, estimation, everything has to land in exactly the right place in exactly the right order. The first few tries, you can see them working it out, getting closer, going home and coming back with it not quite there yet. And then one day they finish it. They look down at the page, and before I say a single word, I can see it. Not in the answer, in their face. The pride that beams from the inside out. That's not a grade. That's not me telling them they did a great job. That's a child who knows for the first time what they're actually capable of. That is what confidence looks like. And that is what we've been building all season. I'm Jacquie Langworthy, and this is the season 2 finale of Raising Scholars. Welcome back to Raising Scholars. I'm Jacquie Langworthy, educator, learning center owner, and a mom who raised 2 confident, independent scholars. 12 weeks ago, we started season 2 with a question. What if the way we've been helping our kids is actually getting in the way? We've built environments, we've built routines, we've talked about nagging and overhelping and the emotional load that nobody talks about. We heard from a real family. We looked at grit and gaps and what catching up actually looks like. And today we close the loop because all of it, every episode, every story, every framework has been pointing toward one thing: a child who believes in themselves, not because of a grade, not because of a test score, because of evidence, because of a parent who knew when to step in and when to step back. That's what we're talking about today. Let me start with a distinction that is the foundation of everything. There are 2 kinds of confidence: surface confidence and deep confidence, and only one of them lasts. Surface confidence comes from praise, from grades, from external validation. It feels good in the moment and it evaporates the moment things get hard. Here's what it looks like: your child gets an A and feels great until they get a B and they completely fall apart. Or they do well because you're sitting right next to them. And the next night, when you're not, they can't start. That's surface confidence. It depends on the result. It depends on you being in the room. Deep confidence is different. Deep confidence is the student who finishes long division for the very first time and doesn't need me to show them the steps. They just did it. They know. I can see it on their face before I say a word. That knowing, that settled, quiet certainty, that is evidence-based confidence. It belongs to them. Nobody can take it. And it doesn't disappear when the next problem gets hard. Here's what research tells us. Children who are labeled as behind early in their academic careers are more likely to internalize that label as an identity. The child who is told they are behind often becomes a child who believes they can't catch up before anyone has actually ever tried. But a child who has evidence, who has stacked small wins over time and watched themselves grow, that child has something no grade can give them and no bad day can take away. A grade tells a child how they perform. Evidence tells them who they are. I want to tell you about my daughter. She's a natural reader, gifted, bright. She could read fluently, phonetically, beautifully from a very young age. And when she was tested in first grade, her scores were literally off the charts. But no one told her that. Fast forward to fifth grade. I got a letter from the vice principal saying my daughter had been called to her office. My heart dropped. I'm sure you know the feeling. That is never a good letter. But when I called, the vice principal explained, your daughter passed the test that fifth graders are taking right now. She tested out. We're bringing her in our office because she's done and we wanted to have something for her to do. She had passed the fifth grade test at the end of first grade and no one told her. I think about that sometimes. What would it have meant for her confidence at 6 and 7 to know she had already mastered what 10-year-olds are working on? What would that evidence have built in her? Not just in her reading, but in other areas of her life. And here's what the research tells us that every parent of a daughter needs to hear. Between the ages of 8 and 14, girls' confidence levels drop by 30%. At 14, when girls are at their lowest, boys' confidence is still 27% higher. And for most women, once that gap opens, it doesn't fully close on its own. 30% between the ages we are most influencing them. For our daughters especially, we have to give them evidence. We have to tell them what we see. We can't wait for someone else to send the letter because it may never come or it may come too late. Don't wait for the letter. Be the one who tells your daughter what she is really capable of. Let me close this season the way we opened it, with the R.A.I.S.E Scholar Framework, because every episode this season has been one of these pillars lived out loud. R, regulation before rigor. We can't build confidence in a dysregulated child. We can't build it in a home that feels like a battleground. Connection before correction. Safety before performance. This was our foundation. A, autonomy over assistance. The ballet story. The college drop-off. Every time we let our children do the thing, even when it's hard to watch, we gave them a piece of evidence. I did that. I can. They believe in themselves. I, instruction versus practice. You are their forever teacher, but homework time is practice time. Evidence builds in the repetition, not the explanation. S, systems beat willpower. The routine that runs itself, the anchor time that trains the brain, we don't wait for motivation. We build structure that makes confidence possible. And E, evidence builds confidence. The student who saw the pride beaming from the inside out after long division, the girl who had already passed the fifth grade test, the student with executive functioning disorder who graduated college with a computer science degree, evidence stacked over time. That's what we have been building all season. Raise a scholar, not just in school, but in life. I want to be honest with you about where I am in my own home right now. I have two college-age children. They're both going off to school in the fall. And I've been thinking deeply about whether I have given them what they actually needed to be independent. I've been working on this with my daughter. We have a dog, Juno, and I finally stopped. Stop doing everything. Stop stepping in. If Juno needs to go out, I might say his name as a reminder. And it gets done. If he makes a mess, she cleans it up without me asking twice. That may sound like a small win, and honestly, we are still working on the dishes, but that piece, that is where I feel like I'm getting some of this right. It didn't happen because I lectured her about responsibility. It happened because I stopped doing it for her, and she rose to the occasion. That's autonomy over assistance, happening in real time in my own home right now. I want to ask you something. Where in your home are you still doing something your child should be doing themselves? Not as a criticism, as a starting point. because the next school year is the next opportunity to hand something back. What are you handing back this year? I want to close with a story about my son. He's in college, and recently he found himself in a situation where he had to stand up for himself to an adult, to an authority figure. He had to say clearly and respectfully, I feel like I'm being disrespected, and this is how. And this is my decision, and I'm moving forward. He did it without calling me first, without asking me what to say. He found the words himself. He held his ground, and he moved forward. And when he did call me afterward, I could hear it in his voice before he even finished the sentence. He said, I advocated for myself. 4 words. And I can't tell you what it meant to hear him say that, because that is everything. That is every moment I stepped back when I wanted to step in. Every time I asked a question instead of giving an answer. Every time I let him feel the consequence instead of rescuing him from it. All of that in those 4 words. I'll be honest with you. I wish he had gotten that skill earlier. I wish I had given him more practice in it before he left. But here is what I know. He got there. He got there because the muscle was there to use. It had been building imperfectly, slowly, over time. That's what this season has been about. Not perfection, evidence. Not a finished product, a direction. I opened this season with a different story about my son. A phone call from the doctor's office. Medical history he didn't have because I always handled it. And I told you, I made it too easy. I was still figuring this out. These 2 stories together, that is parenting. The things we got wrong, that taught us. The things we finally got right, the phone call that humbled us. The phone call that made us proud. You're going to have both. That's not failure. That is work. That is being a parent. You don't have to get it all right. You just have to keep showing up. Before I close, 4 things tonight. I mean all 4. Follow or subscribe for season 3. We're not done. There is so much more to build together. 2, download the free Raise Scholar Framework Guide at raisingscholarsPodcast.com. Everything we covered this season in one guide, keep it where you'll see it. 3, share this finale with a parent who needs to hear that it gets better, with your co-parent, your village, or your group chat. If this season gave you one thing, pay it forward tonight. 4, leave a review. I'm asking you directly. Your 30 seconds helps another parent find this show. That's it, just 30 seconds. And each parent who finds the show becomes a parent who thinks more intentionally about how to raise their child. 30 seconds is all it takes. Here's what I want you to carry into the school year. Your child does not need a perfect academic record. They need to believe in their bones that they're capable, that they can try and fail and try again. That hard things are not signs that something's wrong with them. They are signs that they're growing. Build that belief in them. Protect it fiercely and never, ever stop. Because a child who believes in themselves, that child can do anything. Remember, your child does not need a perfect parent. They need a present one. I'm Jacquie Langworthy. Thank you for an incredible season 2, and I'll see you next season.